MarzGurl.
And I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
And welcome to episode 46 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover episode 46 of City Hunter, titled Picking Pockets is a Thrill. Pick Pockets for Tomorrow. So this episode, we're going to see the other instance, I think the only other instance we're going to get this whole season of somebody actually having been Kaori's friend.
Yeah, this is really sad. This was supposedly her best friend in high school. We are never going to see her again.
Because I bring that up for a reason, because the only other time we've ever heard of somebody being friends with Kaori was way back when we had the friend who was the flight attendant, who had the bomb thing stuck in her bag, or the electric thing.
Yeah, so Kaori made friends once at one point in time. She just does this job, and being around Ryo just kind of separate her from what her life previously was, and she just no longer continues to maintain friendships anymore.
I mean, like, let's be real here for a second. Kaori, in story, she's 19.
She had another birthday. She's 20 now.
Okay, so
right?
She's 20. Even then, she's been out of high school at best, 2 years? Now, depending, I know it's different for a lot of people. If you at least keep 2 friends from high school, you're doing pretty well in my book.
Sure.
Currently, I don't speak to anybody I went to high school with anymore, hardly at all.
I kinda keep in contact with 2 people.
Same.
Yeah. A lot more people from college, actually.
Cause, quite honestly, we're not spring chickens. We're old.
Old chickens.
We're old chickens. At this point, quite honestly, putting myself out there right now on Front Street, I am coming up on my 20-year class reunion for high school.
Oh, no.
I decided not to go to the 10-year. I'm definitely not going to the 20-year because I realized I didn't like any of those people.
Yeah, I saw photos from my 10-year class reunion and I was like, nope. I am not that person, and I am not these people. That's not a thing I'm gonna go do.
Because you know what's different between me and them? I got out.
Same for me. The people that I went to high school with are, very satisfied exactly where they are. And no, that was not for me.
And I know for a fact, none of them listen to this podcast. None of those people in my class listen to this podcast.
I hope none of... Every so often I find out that somebody from high school, tries to reach out to me, and I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. We don't talk. Probably nothing personal. I just don't know you anymore. If I ever did, I don't know. I'm sorry.
But at least we have one friend that Kaori is aware of, because the last one, she was working with them on a case, or they had to do a case for her, and then that got solved. And far as we know, Kaori never heard from her again.
That's what I'm telling you. She just has these old friends. She doesn't maintain the friendships with them. She just does not keep up these relationships, and we're never gonna hear from them ever again.
See, this just means Kaori needs to go to college. My best friends that I've had for years and years and years, I made them all in college.
That's what I'm saying too. I feel like she has dedicated her entire life to this idea of, oh, I lost my brother was involved in this, and now I am going to be involved in this too, and now she can't pull herself out of it. I mean, she doesn't seem to want to either. So long as they're actually making money, which sometimes it seems like they do, every so often, then I guess she doesn't have anything to worry about.
It's good that you bring that up, because that's actually where we start our episode this week. So at the top of the show, I fully believe this happens either the next day or within the next week after the previous episode. They did a major paying job taking care of 3 girls for a giant business conglomerate. They completed that job, and from what we were told, they were going to get a year's worth of pay. So at the top of this episode, we see that Kaori is going on a shopping spree.
Yeah, I guess, how are you gonna do that if you didn't have the money to do it? And look, Ryo's bringing back just this stack full of cartoony, we've just bought everything inside the Marui at the mall, and just boxes of stuff, including the biggest box of M&Ms you've ever seen in your life.
Costco box of M&Ms is what we're telling you.
And I am telling you, Kaori has a problem. She has an M&M's problem.
I think we need to stage an intervention for her.
So she doesn't have any friends and is very addicted to peanut M&Ms. Someone get this woman some help.
So you lost your friends, but you picked up a candy habit. I don't know. In any case, yes, Ryo is there stuck holding the bags like he usually does when they go shopping. Kaori is very happy to be out and about and actually spending money because they have it for once. And as they're there at the crosswalk getting ready to go probably to some other store or maybe even go back to the apartment, very obviously someone takes a swipe into Ryo's breast pocket and takes his wallet. And when that happens, it wasn't very stealthy.
No, he knew it was happening. He was very aware.
And so he just immediately drops everything.
Which is very upsetting to Kaori. She just spent quite a lot of money on all of those M&Ms.
Well, yeah, because to stop that for a second, Ryo says, oh yeah, you can be happy about shopping. Literally all of this stuff is for you.
I mean, she just took Ryo along for the ride. A little surprised that Ryo even bothers to tag along on these weird shopping trips. She could have things shipped back to their home.
I mean, shipping isn't as big in the 80s as it is now.
No, you can have stuff delivered.
Yeah, but think of it this way, though. If Ryo goes with her, he has the chance to oogle ladies in public.
You think that's what his motivation was, not that they're hanging out together.
No, I absolutely believe he's just trying to look at women.
Okay, cool.
That tracks. So yeah, Ryo drops all of the boxes and immediately grabs the hand of the person who grabbed the wallet and catches him like, ha! You're gonna have to do better than that.
Kaori recognizes this person. Old best friend from high school.
Her name is Mariko, and they're like, hey, how's it going?
Oh, you're just picking pockets now, huh? No, let me explain. They go somewhere, right? To talk about this?
Yeah, so they're basically having coffee and catching up about the pickpocketing thing. So, hey, I haven't seen you since high school. I picked up pickpocketing. It's for a good reason, though. It's for my thesis.
Because I'm studying, what, psychology?
Criminal psychology.
And to study criminals who are pickpockets, I also became a pickpocket. And you know what? It feels pretty damn good, actually. I don't want the money. I just want to feel something.
Like, when you put it that way, she sounds really sad.
I know!
And the thing about it is, like, she seems like a perfectly normal person. You know, she's dressed in this very casual 80s attire, this blue blazer.
Well, that's not casual. I think that's kind of casual nice, business casual.
But the other thing to point out, and we noticed this, I remember saying it the first time we saw it before we even started doing this podcast, and then again this time, she's wearing this big old, like, Yu-Gi-Oh necklace.
Yeah, it's more like Merrick's necklace.
Yeah, Merrick specifically. And it's like, oh man, that is the gaudiest thing. Like, what are you gonna do next? Wear turquoise jewelry?
Come on, 80s jewelry was big and gaudy, though. Let's not kid ourselves, really.
I mean, yeah. And so to prove that she's really up on this high of just picking people's pockets, when the waiter comes to refill all of their water there at the table, she just stands up, goes behind him, and then yoink, gets his wallet out of his back pocket.
Just does it just to do it. And when he leaves, Kaori's like, oh, I gotta go give this thing back to him. What are you doing?
And so Kaori basically has to talk to Ryo while she leaves for a second. Look, she's got a problem. I need you to help me here. We need to talk her out of this. This is bad. And so Ryo's like, all right, let's talk. Mariko, I'll make you a deal. Here's a challenge. If you can pick my pocket, I will admit that you have some skill here and that, you know, it's okay for you to keep doing this.
But you gotta pick my pocket without me knowing it.
Exactly.
Not with me knowing it. If I can tell you've done it, then you fail.
And she's like, all right, well, I'm going to prove it. You know, it's not like I don't return the wallets that I do pick. I've done it before, but I can prove that I actually have the skill to keep this up. All right, you're on. And so no sooner does she do this than 3 Yakuza-looking dudes come rolling up on her, one with glasses, and are like, hey, come with us.
And she's like, no.
And they're like, no, come with us. And Ryo's like, hi, have you met my gun?
And they're like, we'll be back.
And so he runs these guys off, and then Ryo kind of doesn't catch that he has pulled his gun in public.
And she's like, oh, what do you need a gun for? Oh, oops.
She asks, are you Yakuza? No, I wouldn't say that. I'm definitely not.
Oh, then you're a detective. Oh, well, I mean, kinda. Oh, and then what are you, Kaori? Are you also a detective? Well, I'm this detective's assistant. Yes, that is totally what we are. A detective and his assistant. You got us. Phew, glad that's over.
And it's like, it's not the weirdest thing in the world for them to want to distance themselves from someone who has a normal life, right? But at the same time, when we talk about it in terms of everything we say on this podcast, in that we know Ryo advertises and has a theme song,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird that he doesn't just say, oh, I'm City Hunter, the sweeper. Have you heard of me? Here's my card.
Yeah, it's like we're the Ghostbusters.
Exactly.
We're ready to believe you.
Or in Ryo's case, it's, I'm ready to feel you up.
No, please don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. So they head back to Kaori and Ryo's apartment, because I think I have to kind of say it's their apartment now, because Kaori's really making herself feel part of this place now.
She lives there, Josh. She lives there.
Even though we know they're not in the same exact unit.
Right, because it seems like, again, as we've discussed before on this show in the past, they seem to own the entire building.
Yeah, like the whole thing is theirs outright. They have no neighbors.
Meaning any of those individual apartments are all open and available, so Kaori just took one.
Like, you think he charges her rent?
Surely not. It's their business.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that he wouldn't. I'm just saying.
Like, how would she pay? She'd have to pay out of the money that they earn together on the same jobs.
Yeah, you're probably right. I thought I'd throw that out there.
No, I understand.
Okay, so they're there back at the apartment, and Mariko is now practicing her version of Tai Chi, but for pickpocketing. She says specifically it's a combination of Taikyoken and Shiatsu.
Yeah, so she has created a martial art for pickpocketing. And it's not really functional.
She just looks like she's tickling the air.
And she's wearing a jazzercise leotard to do it, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me because she's never going to be wearing that when she's out in public picking pockets.
But it totally makes sense because Hojo loves to put women in those leotards. That's his whole thing.
I mean, he made an entire series before City Hunter about 3 girls in leotards.
Yeah, so if he put another girl in a leotard here in City Hunter, there's absolutely precedent for that. It's his thing.
Alright.
So the whole time she's practicing there in the living room, Kaori and Ryo are watching from behind a door, and Kaori's kind of like trying to get Ryo to admit why he's doing this, why he's agreeing to help, and Ryo kind of admits, it's because, I'm horny, and she's hot, and why wouldn't I? Which is enough to get Kaori to pull the 100-ton hammer on him, but she doesn't get to hit him.
She doesn't quite connect.
Before she can hit, Ryo's like, no, wait. If we do this the way we're doing it right now, it's better that she's practicing pickpocketing here, and she's not out on the streets.
And Kaori is convinced. Like, oh yeah, it's actually a good point. I care about my friend. I care about what happens to
I care
him.
about my best friend.
My best friend that we've only seen once and will never see again. Best friends.
Now, it's funny that when Ryo has that sly look on his face, he very much has like this weird face, like his mouth and the upper lip and his nose are drawn out, kind of like Mr. Burns, but also kind of like, if any of you have seen this show Recess, Disney's Recess.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the character, but it's the kid that's always ratting out the other kids to the principal or whoever.
The kid that looks like Mr. Burns.
Yeah, that kid.
A Mr. Burns child.
Somebody will probably tell us if we ask who that character is.
Oh, I could Google it right now. You know what? I'm not gonna. I watched that show plenty, but I don't care. I don't care.
I only remember TJ. That's the only character I remember.
Okay.
So like with most cases, we see that Mariko is going to spend the night here at the apartment because we can't have her out on the streets doing hard pickpocketing. And so I think it's weird that they agreed to all sleep in the same room.
Yeah, usually Kaori would be like, nope, you stay outside, you go to your own room, go to your room, Ryo, go to your room. And instead, they're like, no, we'll stay in the same room, but we're keeping you in a prison cell? We put a cell around your bed.
Ryo is having a one-man Hell in a Cell match with himself. And he's there being like, I want to do stuff. There's a woman here. And all he can do is stare at Mariko while she's like tickling the air in her sleep.
And it keeps him up all night. He never goes to sleep because he can see her over there and it's just too much for him. He cannot go to sleep.
So the next morning, he's there all sleep deprived, trying to like wash up, gargle, brush his teeth.
And that's when she comes in to try and pickpocket him, which is not successful because even though he's extremely tired, not doing very well, he's managed to trap his inner jacket pocket
with a mouse trap.
With a mouse trap. And she sticks her hand in there and kasna! just right on the fingers, and she yelps, and he's like, "Oh, hi, good morning," and he just plays it off like he does not know.
But he knows. That's why he put it there.
Yeah.
So we move on to breakfast, and Rio's there trying to eat, and then she tries to butter him up, like, "Hey, you want some eggs and ham?" And he's like, "Yeah, I would love that."
Well, whatcha? I gotta take your wallet.
That wasn't my wallet. You should look at your hand. I don't know how he did it. She pickpocketed her own bra.
Oh, yeah, it was a bra, and he's like, "Oh, and that's not all I've got. Got your underwear, too." She's acting as though she has just realized she is not wearing either one of those articles of clothing. I don't really understand.
Well, see, we don't know exactly how that's working right now. Like, I assume she, like, packed a bag and came over to the apartment.
Right, like, she's got a second pair, and so he took the pair that is not being worn.
Right, exactly.
But so why is she acting as though he just took it off of her body?
Well, it's the fact that it's still a violation of privacy, which again is enough to get the 100-ton hammer coming at him from Kaori, and yet again he stops her by going, no, we're helping, this is to help, and she still is like, "Oh, you're right. I don't know how that's working right now."
Yeah.
Especially in the case of him being a freak and doing anything with someone else's undergarments. Usually that's just clear cut, I hit you with the hammer. That's no stuff.
But she really wants to help her friend. She's gotta be lying to herself.
So now we're going into montage mode here, and we're still at the apartment, and now she's set up bells on strings in front of a dummy to practice pickpocketing on.
Which, it's weird, she just kind of keeps doing literally the exact same motion over and over and over and over and over again, and she keeps hitting the strings, and it's like, "Nope, that would alert them. Nope, that would alert them. Nope, that would alert them." Yeah, if you do the same thing, nothing is going to be different.
Until she does this, like, Hokuto Shinken move with her arms.
No, kind of looking move, yeah.
And then finally makes it through the strings and draws out the wallet without ringing the bell. And she's like, "Ha! I got it." And it's like, yes, because you didn't do the same move you've been doing. You kept spamming low kick, and that wasn't working. Now you actually used a combo. Good job.
Well, they're ready to go back out on the street again, right?
Yeah, so it's the next day. It was raining the day before, so today the sky is nice and pretty, and they point up like, "Oh, look, there's a rainbow," and everybody's looking up.
Surprise, you've been distracted. I'm taking your wallet.
But before she can do that, those 3 guys from earlier pull up in a car and try to grab her and pull her in the car.
And then Rio is like, "Do you remember what happened last time? Because I'm about to show you what happened last time."
And they're like, "We'll be back later." And they run off again.
So Rio's gotta be like, "All right, look, this has happened twice now. What do they want?"
Like, "What did you do?" And I love that this is her response. "What I did was art." And she's like, she's not even being specific. She's like, "No, I gave back all the wallets. I haven't done anything."
Yeah, well, what about that necklace? Did you just happen to buy that necklace, or did you take that too?
Well, we're not going to talk about that right now. So Rio's like, "All right, I need to figure out why these specific guys are coming in. I need to make a call." So he uses phone a friend.
Yeah, he goes to the payphone. Beep, beep, boop, 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 boop. Brrr, brrr. "Yeah, Umibozu? Yeah, I'm gonna need you to get down here right away." "Okay, cool, thanks, bye."
So he's just calling in Umibozu because, like, I can't deal with this. So now, after several days of watching her try to perfect the art of pickpocketing, which I only think she's gotten so good at it, really.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, I just got done rewatching all of the Ocean's movies, like Ocean's 11 and all that, and I look at the pickpocketing done in those movies, and I get it's a movie, but some of it's just so slick.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking at this, this depiction here in the anime, it's like, there's too many frames. Like, of course people are going to see that. So Ryo decides, all right, we really got to up the ante on trying to talk her out of this. I'm going to hire some other help. I called in Umibozu, but I'm going to get some other people in. So he gets this guy, Gen, who's dressed up kind of like a hobo, and his wife, who's done up in like a kimono.
Yeah, she's dressed extremely nicely, and so they're gonna put on a little act right here.
Yeah, so Ryo, Kaori, and Mariko are on one corner, and they're looking off at these 2 friends of Ryo's.
Gen is over here pretending like, here's a nice lady who's ripe for pickpocketing. I'm gonna pick this pocket, and there I did it.
Yeah, so he gets her wallet, and Ryo's pointing out, look at that guy. You know who he is? He's a veteran of 50 years of pickpocketing, and look how disheveled he is. His life is horrible.
He takes her into the back alley where he looks like he's gonna go and sleep. Like, he's been doing this a long time. He thought it was an art too. Why don't you ask him what he thinks now, whether or not it's still an art? And they literally, like, Gen and Ryo both literally wink and smile at each other like, ha, this is great. This is some good stuff. This is really gonna work. We're really gonna pull this off.
And he, like, crawls into, like, a cardboard box of Hennessy.
Yeah, that's right. It says Hennessy on the side of the box.
And so this is meant to just, like, this is Ryo's version of Scared Straight.
Yeah.
Right?
But it doesn't work.
She's like, no, I'm not gonna end up like that guy. This time will be different. I won't give up.
And it's still art. And Ryo's just like, what? Are you kidding me? I really thought that was gonna work out. And she was gonna be like, oh, I see your point. I love you, Ryo. I love you too. Like, he plays out this entire scenario in his head that did not happen.
So Mariko goes running off back out of the alley and around the corner. And all of a sudden you hear her scream. And so they go running back out of the alley like, what is it? And then you see this hulking figure in front of her.
It's not hard to tell that it's Umibozu. He may be all silhouetted out, but we already knew that Ryo called Umibozu, so, like, I don't know why the show is trying to pretend it's anybody but, because it's Umibozu.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, what's wrong? Oh, it's just Umibozu. Why'd you yell? And Mariko's like, oh my god, he is so my type. And Umibozu's like, what?
Kaori says, oh yeah, well, you did date a power lifter in high school. So she's just really into really big hulking dudes.
And of course, Umibozu has no game when it comes to women, so he's just there, like, shutting up and blushing.
He's scared stiff. He's so nervous.
The poor man.
I don't even know that he would necessarily hate what's happening. He just has no idea what to do.
No, he's just so inept when it comes to these kinds of situations. And so Umibozu's here to tell Ryo, okay, I found out the information you were asking for. So it turns out there's a lot of stuff happening right now with the drug market. There was a microfilm of a bunch of drug deal records, and it was stolen, and these guys are looking for it.
So wait, did you steal the microfilm? I don't remember stealing a microfilm.
It was hidden in a piece of jewelry.
Oh, well, I did steal this piece of jewelry.
Oh my god!
I thought you give everything back. Well, she got in, like, a taxi or something way too fast. I couldn't give it back.
So this person that she stole, she says it was from a waitress that she pickpocketed this necklace from. She tried to give it back, but they got away from her. And it turns out this waitress happened to be the mistress of a drug dealer. Good job.
Very convenient.
And so Ryo's like, well, we're screwed. They're never going to believe what happened, that you tried to give it back. There's no talking to these guys now.
Hey, look, there they are right now.
And so all of them have their guns pulled, and Ryo's like, all right, I've got a plan.
They are running.
The plan is running. So they run off to the park, and Footsteps starts playing, and Ryo's like, all right, I'll go first. And so he unloads 6 rounds at the guys to try and, scare them off, disarm them, whatever. And he's like, all right, that's all the bullets I got right this second. It's your turn, Umibozu.
Umibozu doesn't want to do much of anything, but he's pretty easily motivated. Just gotta spook him with a cat.
So, like, Ryo holds up this little white cat, this cute little cat.
Where did it come from? Where did he get this cat? Where was this cat prior to right now, Josh?
Like,
where was this cat?
Did Ryo know where the cat was going to be in the park? Like, how did he have one so quickly? Did he have one in his pocket? Is he a magician?
I bet he could be if he wanted to be. Anyway, so it spooks Umibozu real bad, and he just kind of runs away, and he's just sort of flailing, arms out, like, just so scared, but scared in the correct direction to start hitting his enemies.
Yeah, and so now he's knocking these guys around, messing them up. And during this section, this little fight scene between Umibozu and these grunts, his head, right?
Why did they draw his head so small?
Like, I get it's an overhead shot, like we're looking down on the fight, but his head is so disproportionately small.
It's not even just the overhead shots, though. It's almost every shot. His head looks too little on his body.
But in any case, like, Umibozu, like, makes, like, the Royal Rumble and, like, smacks all of these guys down. And he's like, how dare you do that to me? You know I hate cats. Well, I mean, he doesn't hate cats. He's just deathly afraid of them.
He's very scared of cats.
But, like, one guy still had his gun, and he's pointing it at Umibozu. And he was like, watch out! And he quick draws and knocks the guy's gun out.
The animation is very quick, very, very small number of frames. And, like, they got these black speed lines on his arm just to let you know he drew his gun very, very fast.
And he's like, all right, great. Now we're even. I guess. And so a cop car pulls up.
Woo! Saeko just decides, oh, I'm just gonna swoop right on in right here at the last second and take credit for everything, because she starts to have this come up regularly as the show goes on. She swoops in right at the end, scoops them all up after Ryo has already done all the hard work.
Well, because, like, it's not even like he called her.
No, she just showed up. She knew. She knew this was happening.
Like, that's the thing that doesn't make any sense. Like, he called Umibozu. Umibozu has a reason to be here, but for her to just come pulling up in the cop car and be like, hey, what's going on here? Crime? I'm taking the credit.
Thanks, Ryo. I mean, who?
I hate it when she does that.
Yeah.
And so now Ryo's like, well, if you're here, this microfilm that we got here, it's worth something, isn't it?
So, Mokkori, yes? And she's like, haha, no.
She's like, you want to make reservations for a hotel?
What does she say to make reservations for instead?
The hospital.
The hospital.
Well, because now, effectively, the case is closed, which means Moniko is no longer in danger, which means Kaori gets to bring down the hammer.
Finally. Like, we've been waiting.
So Kaori and Ryo try one last time to make sure that this whole pickpocketing thing has gotten out of Moniko's system, so they go back to the street, now that, Saiko's taken away the 4 guys that were trying to assault her, and we see there's another pickpocket who hasn't been hired by Ryo, this really skeezy looking guy.
He is literally just a pickpocket. We don't even need to specify that he wasn't hired by Ryo. He's just a pickpocket.
This guy's thing is to, like, bump into you really obviously and then take your valuables and then keep walking.
I mean, people do that though.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like it doesn't work. It's just like this guy, his game is weak.
Well, it's weak to anybody else watching. That lady that he pickpocketed from, she was fooled initially. So it works, just so long as nobody else sees it.
But Ryo saw it, and so did Mariko. So Mariko goes to get the wallet back, and it looks like she just talked to him and got it back.
Yeah, that didn't make a lot of sense to me. But Ryo really wanted to make sure that he didn't just get away with it.
Because immediately after getting the old lady, he goes to get another, like, rich-looking lady. And then he does basically the same thing, but when he pulls the wallet, Ryo has a silencer on the gun, and then, like, shoots him in the hand.
Shoots it out of his hand. But it's weird how neither the hand nor the wallet are especially damaged.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, he didn't, like, switch out bullets to, like, non-lethal rounds.
I mean, you would have to headcanon it pretty hard to lie to yourself and say, oh no, that was a totally safe round and it's just gonna sting a little.
No, he's using a .357 Magnum. That man should be missing fingers.
Yeah, and that wallet should be utterly destroyed.
But it's enough for the rich lady to realize, thief! This guy's a thief! And Mariko just kind of, like, tricks the old lady nicely into being like, oh, ma'am, can I help you across the street? And while I'm doing that, here's your wallet back.
Slips the first old lady her wallet back while crossing the street, yeah. So she was never the wiser, never knew that her wallet was ever missing.
And now this seems to be, this whole thing here on the street is finally what convinces her, all right, I'm done.
She's just sort of acting like, not that she got scared out of it, but that she got it out of her system. Like, she just did enough of it, she's seen enough of it, and like, all right, yeah, I think I'm good. Okay. Yeah.
And of course, Kaori's like, oh, thank God. Well, now that that's done, Mariko, well, what are you going to do now?
I'm going to Disneyland.
And by Disneyland, I mean I'm going to make myself Umibozu's secretary.
Because Umibozu apparently has an office, and then she just set up shop in his office. I didn't know Umibozu had an office, but apparently
I honestly
he's
didn't
got
think
one.
he did.
It must be his office, because he's got posters of, like...
boxing.
Yeah, boxing and stuff in there, and I'm just like, well, I guess that's something he would be into, unless Mariko showed up and she really has a thing for boxers.
She could.
And she put the posters up herself.
And so Umibozu's just there freaking out like, I didn't ask for this. She just invited herself in. She's doing accounting. She likes me.
And I don't know what that means.
Do something. Help. And then Get Wild starts playing, and that's our episode.
Yay.
So you would think like, oh, this is a great chance to introduce an important character, somebody who's got a past with Kaori. They're now Umibozu's secretary. You think we'll see this person next week?
No.
We will never hear from this
never
person
see her ever again. There's too many other women in Umibozu's life to introduce, so we can't keep keep this one around.
Like, I half wonder, because we haven't gotten to the episodes where Miki is introduced yet, so I imagine if Mariko stuck around long enough, Miki would have just told her, alright, hit the bricks, I got this.
I guess. Would have been some cat fight for a while. I don't know if that would have been fun.
I don't know if this sounds weird, but I almost would have liked to have watched an episode where two women are catfighting over who gets to be with Umibozu.
I don't know, maybe.
I think that would have been a fun episode.
Umibozu wouldn't have known what to do in that scenario.
No, Umibozu very much would have just been like, let them fight.
Let them fight. I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah, yes, I will be over here doing something else entirely. So next episode, we're going to do some hustling at the pool hall.
It's about pool. I wish I had more to say about pool. I really don't have a lot to say about pool. I don't especially like pool, but that will happen.
Yes, that'll happen next week, and Ryo's going to be looking at some legs and also pool. Yes.
Thanks, Josh. I'm glad we've got that covered.
Anytime.
So come back next time when we cover the 47th episode of the TV series, Mokkori is the Best Medicine? A pool shot to a pretty hustler's heart.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnightFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 46th episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, I'm gonna clock Josh with a pool stick.
Why the violence?